Hello, hello again. It's Marco.
No, I'm Bella. I'm together with Marco Bella.
So today we're going to be talking about conflict resolution.
So we've been talking about baggage in bringing baggage into
Hang on, I was actually saying something then.
Oh no!
So that's a good way of resolving conflict. So yeah, it's called conflict resolution. Anyway, Carol.
Oh my days. So we've been talking about bringing baggage into marriage and things that we've had to deal with along the way. One thing that we had to learn to do was to manage conflict. It's going to arise in your marriage at some point.
Will it?
100%. Because whenever two human beings, whether you're married, dating, friends, brothers or sisters, whatever, you're going to come to a point where you disagree on something.
It's because there are decisions to be made, and sometimes it could be that one person wants to make the ultimate decision. And I looked at Bethel, but I wasn't meaning that she wants to. No.
Sometimes he wants to make the ultimate decision as well. So,
yeah.
Anyways. So, Marc used to do this weird thing where, like, if I upset him, about something, he would just go silent.
Oh no!
Hands up if your spouse gives you the silent treatment. Okay? I personally...
But wait, hang on. In my own defence, I wasn't trying to do the silent treatment thing because that was never a thing for me. I'd actually have a very good reason why I went silent. I'll let Bethel finish, then I'll come back to it. So Bethel, please.
But
see how we do conflict resolution there? Bethel, it's your turn. Go ahead, Bethel. Please, you share.
Whether it was intentional or not, he used to go silent on me. And this was like first year of marriage. So like
first few months.
Literally like first few months. So like I would do something, it would be something really small. Like, I don't know.
Try to push me across the street?
No. That was in one of our other videos about bringing baggage into marriage when we were talking about anger. No, we're not talking about that today.
Well, we're talking about conflict resolution, so it does correlate.
It links, but more so like when you have a disagreement about something or when somebody's done something to you that upsets you, because let's face it, that's going to happen in marriage, right? Your spouse is going to do something they might not even do intentionally, and Marc doesn't do things to me intentionally to upset me, but sometimes he does upset me.
I think that's called spite, or maybe even, what's that other word? Vindictiveness.
Yeah. No, he's not vindictive, but sometimes he'll do something that will be annoying, but he doesn't know that it's annoying.
Oh yeah, well sometimes I am fully aware that it's annoying.
So that's being vindictive?
No, it's slightly different because, when you're being vindictive, it has a lot more.
So if you know something's annoying and then you do it to your wife, that means that you're actually doing it on purpose.
The on purpose part, definitely, I hold my hands up.
We're going to need to talk about this after this video, guys.
Conflict resolution, here we go. But you're talking about the silent treatment.
Yeah, so I would do something like really small, like, I don't know, maybe I didn't make you a cup of tea or something. Oh, I don't know.
I don't even drink tea, but anyway, yeah.
It would be something really small.
Right.
I would say something that would like upset you, and then you would just go quiet. But then, like, I'd say, oh, honey, are you okay? Like, I've noticed, like, you've gone quiet, you're not really chatty, because Marc is a chatty Cathy, and he chats all the time.
Chatty Cathy.
No, Marc really does talk all the time, like, literally. So then I would obviously notice, like, something's wrong, and then he'd be like, no, I'm fine. That was the worst thing, because for me, I'm like, if there's something wrong, just say, like, what's wrong? He's like, I'm fine. I'm like, but you're clearly not fine, because you're not talking. Anyway, so then we'd go the whole day. And Marc would be, I'm fine. But now, so this is what happens. I go to bed, and I generally tend to go to bed quite early.
I think those days you used to go to bed about 7:30, and nowadays, 12 years later, she goes to bed about 6:30. So, goodness me. The only time to talk to Bethel is actually in the middle of the day. Because about 6, she's like starting to doze, and you're like, wow, okay.
Oh my gosh, no.
And then she wakes up saying she's tired. 12 hours later.
Dude, I need sleep, okay? Anyway, so those days, I think I was going to bed about 8:30. Because I was still in uni and I was waking up early and I was like going to school, so I needed my energy.
Early for uni? It was like 10, wasn't it?
No. Remember I started to walk to uni and stuff like that.
Was it half a mile away?
It was a mile. Anyway.
But anyway.
I would go to bed early to get my rest, get my beauty sleep. You need that. And then what would happen is, because we believe in the scripture that says, don't let the sun go down upon your wrath, my man will come and wake me up from my sleep.
I'd be like, Bethel.
When he's had the epiphany moment, that all of a sudden he realizes, oh yeah, I am upset about something. And it's like 12 hours later and I'm half asleep. And I'm like, oh my God, give me grace. So obviously I would wake up and be like, oh, okay. And then he'd turn on the light and he'd be like, imagine like you were deep in sleep and somebody's just like,
no, sometimes we talk in the dark. I mean, come on, make yourself want to turn on the light.
You would turn on the light. You would.
Wow.
You would turn on the light because you're like, I need to see your face. Oh my God. Guys, oh my gosh, I nearly died them days.
We've come from far.
And then I'd be
Can't believe I used to turn on the light. I mean, that's like
he did.
full on.
Full on. And then the thing is, sometimes it'd be like 1 a.m. because like Marc goes to bed very late. He's always thinking and doing something.
Not anymore since we've had kids.
But yeah, and then he's like, the thing is, I don't know what I'm upset about.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, my days. So now, you know he's upset, it's late, and you're tired, but he doesn't know what he's upset about. So now you're like, okay. So we had to literally start from the beginning.
Go through the day and talk through every single event.
Like, okay, so we woke up, we had breakfast, went for a walk, we came back, we swept the lounge, then we did this.
2,000 years later.
Oh yeah. It's when you swept the lounge. You know when you know what I mean? And he'd be like, yeah. So what you did is that, and you're like, oh my days. So literally, it would be something so small, but then instead of him just saying it in that moment, he would just go quiet, lock it away somewhere, and then not talk about it. And then 1 o'clock in the morning, it's like, let's unpick. Let's try to find out.
Journey of discovery.
Oh my days, it's just too much.
And it's interesting from my point of view because, I mean, just to put context to these, because it just sounds like, I just had this thing of, the silent treatment towards Bethel whenever she did something. But to give context, where it actually came from, so before I was saved, I wasn't a very nice person, I'd say. I thought I was lovely, to be fair. I thought I was an amazing person. But what it was,
you were a very funny person.
I was funny, but...
very sarcastic.
And the trouble is, I just said things as they were. So, I just say things for truth. So if you told me something and you were trying to keep it a secret, when everybody's around, I'll just be like, oh, John, do you remember when you said that thing about Jane? She's over here. Do you want to talk about it?
Out you.
I'll just out everyone. I'd say things for what they were. If I didn't like something, I'd just say it.
And then, especially when you used to tease people.
When I used to tease people, it was horrible.
You actually have given people trauma.
Absolutely. And so when I
should we make a public apology for that?
No, you're right.
If Marc has ever hurt you.
The year is 2022, and the month is March. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's a Wednesday today. So this is Marc, probably about 12 years on since salvation, right? And I genuinely want to apologise to anybody who I caused any harm, who I hurt by the words that came out of my mouth. I honestly and sincerely and regretfully and with everything within me apologise for the trauma I might have put you through over these years. And I know there are people that still see me today and they think I'm going to go into that mode. I'm like, no. Honestly, I've kind of moved on from there. And so this is what was happening. So when we got married, I realised, because I was going through this, I guess you can kind of call it a journey of discovery. And so I didn't want to do the same thing to Bethel. And so what I tried to do, whenever something happened, instead of just saying things in the moment, I tried to hold back and actually then reflect on it and come back to it.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, it was good.
And what I didn't realise, this is how it was affecting me physically, because I'll then just go into this cage and closure, and then not say anything. Yeah. And then when it came to that we were actually having the conversation, I wouldn't remember. And I'm like, sorry, what? Like, I know something upset me, but I can't remember what it was.
I don't know what the problem is.
And it's not from a point of it's not from a fact of I'd actually moved on, but it was just from a place of I blocked it out because I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then I can't remember. Yeah,
but then after unpicking it, we would remember it.
Yes.
And after that happened a fair few times, guys.
It did.
A fair few times. There was even times where we couldn't even leave for church because he was like, how can I go to church? Because Marc plays bass. He's like, how can I go and play my bass when I'm upset? I don't know what I'm upset about. And then we'd have to literally talk it through. I'm like, we're going to be late for church. Like, we need to sort this out. Like, you know, and he's like, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so this is what happened, And I learned to like be on speed dial.
Oh, well, do you remember the time, actually, here's another story. I remember the time I was supposed to go and worship lead, and we got into a heated discussion just as we were going to church. And it was so heated to the point, you know, when I got to church,
Like,
there was no way I could even worship lead.
Like, I'm sorry, I can't
And so I
sing.
spoke to the deacons, and I just said, look, you're gonna have to pray for me because, you know, this is what's just happened, and this is how I'm feeling at the moment. So I don't know if this is gonna happen, but they prayed for me, and then, you know, I was able to kind of just carry on, and then we worked it out. I think what was interesting and what the lesson has been, you know, is that you have to find a way in which you can actually address some of these challenges. For me, just becoming aware of how I was in those moments really helped. So now I don't actually go to that place where I just go silent.
We agreed that when we upset each other, we need to vocalize it.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean you're gonna resolve it straight away, but like if I say something, like I said something earlier today actually, and you were like, oh, that was rude.
Call it for what it
like,
is.
just say it in the moment. Like, oh, that was rude. So I know, registered in my head, what I said earlier was rude. He's probably going to write in his journal about it.
No, not really. That one doesn't meet the threshold.
Doesn't meet the threshold for the journal. And like when you say it out, like, okay, you might not be able to resolve it in that minute, but at least the other person is aware that whatever you've done in that moment has upset them. Yeah. And then you can come back to it if like people have settled down and you can talk about it nicely and amicably and be like, okay, so what happened earlier? Da, 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 da. At least you know what the problem is. Rather than storing it, because some people store stuff and then you get into an argument and you're like, you did this to me and you did this to me and you did this to me and you did this to me, and there's no point in that. Like, there's no point in holding grudges and stuff in your marriage. Like, that's just pointless. You're going nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's what we started doing. Like, I was with Mark, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to practice just as it happens, just say it. Like, when I do something or say something, just tell me, because then at least I know. Even if you don't want to talk about it in the moment, we can come back to it later, but just tell me.
But have you ever seen those people, and I don't know whether I'm talking about Bethel here or not, but have you ever seen those people that go, you say to, I'm sorry, I've just kind of, I made a mistake with your little thing over there, and they go, you did what? They go, and then before you know it, it's like a Hulk.
Smash.
You know.
No, watch our video about anger. But no, I think in that one I have helped you with that one. Absolutely. And processing and just being like me being more aware of my reactions. Yes, they haven't always been perfect. But another thing that we do is journaling. So when Marc journals about like what he's going through, he'll say, oh, there's something in my journal that I want you to read. And then I'll read that. And then I will reflect on it first. We also had the share bag where we would write something down and be like, you know, it really hurt me when this happened and that kind of stuff. But never accusatory though. It would just be like, I felt like this. Because sometimes it's not intentional. And then we put it in the share bag and the person will get a chance to read it and then be like, okay, so that person is feeling hurt. They'll get a chance to think about it. They get a chance to reflect on it. And they can either write back, and then we go through them during couch time. We'll go into the share bag and go, okay, what's new in the share bag? Read out the things. And the share bag is also for positive communications as well. Yeah. But it was a really good conflict resolution tool because people had a chance to reflect. So similarly with your journal, if you say to me, there's something in my journal I want you to read, it's one time. Should tell them about this.
Yeah, go on.
So Marc walks into the bedroom, right? And I was like about to go to sleep, right? And he literally like walks in.
Well, wait, let me put context. So I desperately wanted to speak to Bethel about something because there's something that was burning in my spirit that I just wanted to address with her. I wanted to resolve, right?
And so I was on the phone to my sister or something like that.
Yeah, so the best way I felt was the most kind of, I suppose, amicable way of addressing it was putting it in my journal so she could actually read it.
Which
so
was
I put it in my journal.
good, but then he comes into the room, right?
And I've been waiting for ages.
He was waiting patiently because I was on the phone to my sister, but then I said to him, why didn't you tell me?
She didn't know.
I didn't know you wanted to talk to me again. That's the thing. I'm like, how am I supposed to guess that?
So every minute felt like an hour.
And it was an hour.
Probably for about 45
minutes.
We
did talk for a long time. We were talking about
Bethel
nothing.
doesn't care. See, she's just talking.
I didn't even know. he wanted to talk to me. I was talking to my sister about nothing. I'm like, Mark, I wasn't having an important conversation. You could have just told me, like, and we need to chat. Yeah. And I would have just got off the phone. But
that's right.
Anyway, so by the time I finished talking to my sister, it's like 11 o'clock or something. It was really late at night. And by that point, I'm shattered.
And then Beth was, I think that's the other thing that was really effective. I know when he got to, I knew that when he got to a certain point, I was
going to go to sleep.
He'd be so tired, so we wouldn't be able to have the conversation. So I was just getting more and more frustrated. Like, actually, I just want to speak to you, but now it's late and you. Oh.
Dude. So then he came in, right, and he was like, "This is me being dramatic."
Did slow motion from open the door.
He was like, "Open the door," and he was like, "Right, I've written something in my journal," and he chucks the journal on the bed.
It was like slow mo.
And now if you know Marc's like a gondola, he's like really calm. So that, even like just the act of him just, okay, when I say he threw the journal, he didn't throw it at me, but he just threw it onto the bed.
I know you got people going, he threw the journal.
But like, he just threw it onto the bed, which for me, because Marc is so calm, that was like, okay, what? So I could sense, I could feel that tension, and I was like, whoa. And then I was scared, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't want to read your journal right now. Like, I was like, I'm scared of what's in that journal, because if you're coming in and chucking it on the bed like that, then I wonder what's in there.
There's got to be some stuff in there.
That's some stuff. So I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I will read it, but I'm not going to read it now, because I know that it's obviously going to be like a really deep conversation. And I'm really tired. It might have seemed really selfish, but this is during my pregnancy as well. But I also knew, like, if he's coming in with that much tension, it's not going to end up positively tonight. So for me, I was like, honey, I acknowledge that there's the stuff in this journal, and I acknowledge I need to read it, but I want to read it with the right spirit, and I want to be able to reflect on it so we can talk about it properly.
Yes.
And it took me a couple of days, and when I was in the right atmosphere, I read the journal, and it was a lot of deep stuff.
Like, it was really heavy stuff.
There was some like 25 points about
things. How about the 25, 15 pieces? What was that?
No, literally.
Martin Luther did.
There was like 25 points that he had about me and how I was upsetting him. And so I had to write back to him on every single point, and we ended up talking about each and every single one of it. But I am glad. I know in that moment it seemed like I was crushing him and I wasn't trying to respond to his emotions. It wasn't that. It's just I knew that if I had opened that journal and read those things on that day, it wasn't going to be nice. So I needed to have the headspace and like just the reflective space to be like, okay, let's go through them one by one. And I owned most of them.
Yeah. I guess for me, something that's really helped me over the years is that, well, actually I heard it recently. I was watching a documentary and somebody said, you know, and I think I've said this in the previous videos, that sometimes you want to have a conversation that the other person isn't ready to have. You know, and so you've got to learn to wait for when they're ready. And I guess, you know, that's what the journal does for us. It just helps create that distance and allows the other person time to actually process the emotions and come back with the right kind of emotions.
Exactly. So yeah, communication is key, guys. Find a way that works for you. Find a way that you're able to communicate how you're feeling, but also giving your spouse time to process and to reflect, to pray about things, and to come back and talk about it so you can find a resolution.
And so you don't throw the journal.
Don't throw the journal. Okay, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe. Share it with your friends.